What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Viall Files. I'm your host, Nick, joined by Allie and Amanda. Ladies, how you doing today?
Good. Oh, I feel like a little sluggish today.
Well, we have Serena Kerrigan with us today. We've been meaning to have Serena on for a long time. If you don't know about Serena, she's, how would you describe her? She is a
content creator.
She has been sharing her thoughts and opinions in the dating space as well for a long time. Yeah, she's just a woman with some really hot takes and good opinions and a natural podcaster. Confidence coach. Yeah. I mean, if you know Serena Kerrigan, you know Serena Kerrigan. If you don't, you're welcome. You're about to.
Yeah.
So we get into that. We if you haven't checked out our most recent freestyle episode with Justin Glaze and Girl Boss Town, that's came out yesterday. Be sure to check that out. We put a bow on the whole Greg and Victoria, Johnny of it all situation, as well as we got into a lot.
It was a robust episode.
It was a robust episode. Real meaty. Really liked it.
Really juicy burger.
Obviously, our Ask Nick episodes, go check that out. Always delivering the relationship tea. So yeah, anything else going on that we didn't cover with Serena?
Boy, is there. I think we should get of course, it has a Harry Styles stan show. We're not going to leave any Harry Styles story undiscussed. There's, again, Harry Styles, Kendall Jenner dating rumors. They've said they're friends.
I just want to know, are him and Olivia done? Because they took a break. And I haven't, when a celebrity couple says, also the celebrity couple, I guess, in a sense. I don't know. It depends how you look at it. But nevertheless, they were in a relationship for a long time. Then they said they were taking a break.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to give us the we're broken up?
Update? Or are they just going to...
Or are they just not together? Because we have learned recently that there should be some definitive messaging around said break.
Yes.
Correct.
Because if Harry
one person
is moving on with Kendall,
is another person's...
I don't need him to be accused of being an emotional cheater.
Have you ever met someone who's kind of championed the idea of taking a break from a relationship? Anybody who's been it was really helpful and our relationship needed it and here we are.
Oh, they got back together?
Yeah, or someone who would say who would advocate for taking breaks, because so frequently I just view it as a soft launch of a breakup.
Yeah. Someone would. Some asshole who's the exception to the rule who thinks, you know what I'm saying? It certainly has worked out for people. Someone's taken a break, some time apart, they got back together, and now they're blissfully happy.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it was, I'd be willing to guess it wasn't the break that did it for them. It might have been what they did on that break that they could have done without taking that break, but some sort of communication or understanding or vulnerability or humility and all those things that play a role in how we communicate was probably it and not the break itself. But I'm sure there are people out there advocating for a break, but they're wrong.
They're wrong. Yeah.
You can advocate for a breakup. I know a couple that broke up and then got back together and stronger than ever. But their biggest thing was saying, we didn't say it was a break. We said it was a breakup.
Yeah. Semantics, though. But yeah, I think if someone wants a break, so whoever's asking for the break 99 times out of 100 is because they're afraid to break up with you. They don't know how to do it. Maybe they even are literally afraid because they don't know what it's going to be like to be single, so they want to test the waters. It's a soft launch. Yeah. Of the single life. I don't want to be on
someone's back burner.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the 10-year anniversary of Harry Styles and Taylor Swift, big Central Park date that everybody was freaking out over at the time. And it's wow, who else has he dated? Do you guys see them as a couple? Him
Harry?
And Taylor?
Yeah. No. Hello. It's the reason we have 1989.
I guess I wasn't that well versed of either of them back then. So
that's why you brought me on board, Nicholas.
For me, I can't say that. I was more like, oh, they dated? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I feel like I was also surprised by that. But I feel I don't know.
Pre-Coachella, I have to admit that I just wasn't the fan that I am today. So,
Yeah, it's like BC is actually before Coachella, not
not before Christ for me. Yeah, it's definitely before Coachella when it comes to Harry Styles.
Exciting news. Britney Spears is going to have a musical featuring her music. It's going to be, as Ali was saying, a Mamma Mia style situation where it's like...
It's a jukebox.
She's not
jukebox
headlining
musical.
per se, but it'll be her greatest hits, I assume?
Her songs, yes.
And they'll be writing a story
around it.
What do you think the story is going to be?
Yeah.
I'd love it to be modern dating.
Well, that's what the thing is, because I want Toxic to be in there.
Yeah.
And then she breaks up with the toxic man.
So what
she
are the
goes
songs
to the
that we
club,
have? What are the potential songs that we have?
And then she plays circus as she dances in the club.
Where do you think I'm a Slave for You fits in?
Oof.
Oh. I feel like that's
we
the
don't
song
use that one?
he sings to try to seduce her.
Oh, he sings it.
Oh, that's
Like
good.
he. I'm assuming this is a straight
And I want
person.
it to
I'm
be-
Maybe
assuming-
not. I don't know.
I want it to be like Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Did you ever watch that, like on VHS? Pharaoh's Wife.
I haven't seen that.
No.
Pull
I'm
that shit.
familiar with.
Pull a Pharaoh's Wife.
Okay.
Piece of Me. I feel like it would be a huge miss to not include. That's a bop.
I'm Britney, bitch.
No, that's Gimme More, I think.
Just give me.
It's Britney, bitch. Dum, 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 dum.
Yeah,
I
that's,
think- I think
that's
like-
her in the relationship.
I think
saying
I've
that she
told
needs
this
more.
story, but I used to love Give Me More. That I listen I'm in my 20s at this point, mid 20s, adulthood, and I have my roommate, and I was listening to Give Me More on repeat over and over and over.
One guest asked you what your walk-on music would be when we were talking about baseball, and I think maybe that's
Give
your
Me
answer
More.
is Give Me
Yeah.
More by...
I don't have the same love for it that I did back then, but he was like, "Really? Again?" I'd be in the shower and like Give Me More was just playing
That's so endearing.
on repeat. That could be fun. This Broadway show.
Should we go?
Sure. Yeah. Are they? Well, it's going to be on Broadway for
Yeah.
a while.
We'll take a trip.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to travel with us. We keep asking him every day. I keep asking
You
him
need
every
to
day.
know how people are at the airport. If we're going to know each other
Oh,
as...
here's the thing, guys. I'm not going in your lines with you. I am going through clear. I will see you on the other side.
I'm TSA pre-check.
You got to have both.
What? Sell me.
So, clear, the combination is the best, specifically at LAX. You walk into clear, and then you have clear and pre-check, so you still don't have to take anything out. You go up, they give you your eyes. Great, it's you. They look at your boarding pass. They walk you. They escort you to the front of the line. You show your boarding pass again, and then you're the first one in. You get to walk around all the pre-check people.
How
I've
much
noticed,
does
yeah.
Clear cost?
I don't know.
I feel like, see, that to me sounds very expensive
But
because...
TSA
don't think it
pre-check
is.
is so cheap.
But people in LA...
Yeah, it's like $75.
for 5 years.
Yeah, that seems very affordable. But in LA, people hate waiting in a line. Like, you know that people would pay for that service to skip a line. And so I feel like it must be expensive enough that people would think twice.
I don't think it's
$189.
I don't think it's a price
$189.
thing because I never even looked at the price.
It's $189.
It's $189,
Mm-hmm.
and it gets me what? And that's not the same as global entry.
No,
No.
global entry is just when you're doing international stuff, I think.
Gotcha.
I don't know how frequently you fly
I will say
international. but-
I waited far too long to get TSA pre-check, and it's been a nice perk.
Yeah.
I don't know if I need to
I'm just letting you know
do
when
better.
we go to New York, I will be going in my own line. I'm not the type of person to stand there and wait with you.
That's fine. Britney Spears on Broadway.
I love that for her.
See you
Is there,
soon, Brit.
are there any other artists who you would love for there to be a jukebox musical?
Taylor Swift.
There's just so much there, though.
yeah.
That's like, oh
How
my
does
God.
she not have one?
That needs to be like a set. Every album would
Yeah.
need to be its own movie.
Very true.
Anyway, Britney Spears. I'm looking forward to it. Well, we have a great episode for you. Serena Kerrigan is coming up shortly. Don't forget to send in those questions at asknick@castmedia.com. Cast with a K. Send in those questions for all things Ask Nick and texting office hours. Anything else?
If you know you need to break up with someone and you want some help doing that,
Yeah.
Come
Let us
We-
know.
We'd love to do that. Don't text your ex happy birthday, still available. Obviously, it will be for a while. Serena likes it. So check it out, viallfiles.com.
and join a book club.
Join a book club.
Yes, please join a book club. And if you've joined a book club, be like a good participant. Your managers are really trying. I put them all in a group chat. It's a similar theme.
Yeah,
They're
how's it going?
They're trying to get some more
Activity?
responses.
It sounds like modern day dating.
Yeah,
where
people-
it's like people
Non-committal.
express
You gotta come
interest
out of
and
your
then-
shell. You gotta, because they're trying to get things done. They're trying to get involvement and interaction. And they want to get on a Zoom with Nick. They can't do that if it's just them. I mean, they could, but
Is it that bad?
speak up. Certain cities have more robust engagement than others.
Which ones are robust?
I feel like I've seen engagement with San Diego. San Diego one has been doing
Shout
well.
out San Diego.
Good job, San Diego. Some good LA. Maybe it's the Californians that are popping off.
Interesting. All right.
Toronto? I don't know. Maybe they're picking up steam. But just a reminder, if you're in a Facebook group, they're trying to get to know you. They're trying to create a community. Help them help you.
Okay. All right. Let's get to Serena. Money can't buy you happiness, but not worrying about your money comes close. That's where Chime can help you smile more. They were just named the #1 most loved banking app. With payday up to 2 days early and fee-free overdrafts up to $200, they offer financial peace of mind in your wallet. All of this with no annual fees, large security deposits, or credit checks to apply. See for yourself why Chime is so loved at chime.com/VIALL. That is chime.com/VIALL. Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank NA, members FDIC. Early access to direct deposit funds depends on payer. SpotMe eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. See chime.com/spotme. Chime was the 2021 #1 most downloaded banking app in the U.S., according to Apptopia. Caraway, pots and pans, cooking sheets, and more. Caraway is amazing. Pots and pans. It's a dream.
They look so good. I leave my Dutch oven on my stovetop all the time because it's a gorgeous color. I love a nonstick pan. It makes the cleanup process so much easier, but there's some weird chemicals in a lot of nonstick pans on the market. Not Caraway. Safe, normal, good ingredients.
And they just make good food in them. And they look good on your stovetop. They really do. I mean, I have a green and a gray set. It's fantastic. Super high quality. Yeah, I love cooking. I absolutely love cooking. I love cooking in them.
And I also think if you're someone who's like in their 20s, 30s, wherever you are at in life, I think it feels really good to start to make purchases that feel adult and like where you're like, this is an object that I will use in everyday life and I deserve to have like a high quality thing for this.
Your pots and pans ideally should match. It's a nice home investment for yourself. It elevates you. It looks good. It impresses people. You should totally do that. And it's just amazing cookware. And as you mentioned, it's free of all the PFAs and PTFEs and PFOAs that is in so many other of the cooking things that are out on the market today. Over 30,000 people have raved about their Caraway kitchenware, and now it's time to try it for yourself. Visit carawayhome.com to take advantage of their Cyber Season event and score up to 20% off your next purchase of non-toxic kitchenware. This deal won't last long, so visit carawayhome.com to shop all their incredible products for up to 20% off this holiday season. Serena, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm such a big fan. This was on my bucket list. So
really?
This and the Met Gala. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, now we just have to get you to the Met Gala.
Yeah, that's it.
I too would like to go to the Met Gala.
I feel like that's in your cards. You can just manifest it.
I don't know.
Okay, maybe not. Who would you go with?
I'd have my girlfriend, I think.
No, not as your date. As like with the designer.
Oh.
Yeah, he's not going to the Met Gala.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Can't go.
So do you get to pick?
I feel like you're set up with a designer. Like they ask you.
You're usually
they
like
invite you.
tapped, I feel like. Yeah.
Not Balenciaga.
Not Balenciaga.
Mine would be like Zara.
I like the Couples. The Couples is a store I've been shopping at. The Couples Paris. It's like a step above. What would you say the Couples is? It's like a step above. It's right up there with like All Saints.
Yeah.
But like the Paris version. All Saints more of a British brand. I like the Couples. I'd go with the Couples.
I don't know if they go to the Met Gala.
I don't know if they do. Is it a limited? Does Zara go?
No, definitely not.
This is
no
like
fast fashion.
Dior, Tom Ford,
Yeah, this is
Donatello with Versace.
Tom Ford.
Like,
I'd want to go with Tom Ford. I don't want to wear one of his tuxedos.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've never worn a Tom Ford tuxedo.
Okay.
I'd like to.
Great.
Yeah.
Let your girlfriend know.
I feel like I have a better chance of going to this has been discussed. I have a better chance of going to the Met Gala as Nally's date than I think then Nally has a better chance of going as my date, I think. Just because I don't know if they're like super keen on Bachelor alums. And I feel like she has a chance to do her own thing someday that would like.
I feel like you've pivoted really well.
You think so?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You have a book.
Thank you.
Which I've read.
And?
I really like the format.
Thank
I like
you.
that you like put in the Q&As. I really like your advice.
Thank you.
As I told you, this was my fucking bucket list item to be on the show.
Why was it your bucket list?
Because I just really agree with everything you say, and you're very straightforward, as am I. I think I'm like the Coach K of dating. I don't know what that makes you, but
The Coach K of dating. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah. He's good.
I guess the difference is that you're in a relationship and I'm not. So, but coaches don't play.
How do you feel about
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Coaches don't play. So
Yeah. I was not in a relationship for a very long time.
Yeah.
While I was giving relationship advice. And now I'm in a relationship, which often people love to find reasons to disqualify me for giving relationship advice.
Interesting. I find the opposite problem that people are like, well, you're single. So like, who are you to give me
Sure,
advice?
but once you find a relationship, whatever that relationship looks like, they will find reasons to
Discredit you.
Yeah, for
course.
sure. What got you into wanting to give relationship advice?
Just honestly having so much fucking experience and just being, I really think that I don't even like try to give relationship advice. I try to give advice about becoming confident in oneself.
Yeah.
And I think that ultimately like everything goes back to who you are and how you feel about yourself. And so that's what I try to do. And I was like a confidence coach during the pandemic because I like quit my job right before
Really?
lockdown. And I was like Zooming with women.
As I've been doing this podcast, your name definitely has come up a few times by mutual friends, fans.
So then
people
why
from the
don't you
audience.
follow me on Instagram? Like, is there a barometer? Do I have to like hit like a certain
To
like,
be fair, he didn't follow us for like a year and a half.
and like when you were working on the show?
I also don't save people's numbers in my phone.
He is stingy with the contacts
Right, no, I'm
and the follows.
curious. I was like, how funny do I have to be today to get a follow back?
All right, I'm going to follow you right now.
Yeah, let's
Yes,
go.
ceremonial.
It
Like,
really-
it's not, like we're DMing too.
It really,
Like, excuse
That's
you?
wild.
Yeah.
I
You telling me
really-
it's in the requests?
it really is nothing to do with that. It's how my crooked brain works.
It's all good. I'm not offended. I felt like it was kind of desperate to bring it up, but you know what?
It's
all good.
It's done, it's
It's
done, and
funny.
now you're
It's
getting
done,
the
it's done.
It
follow.
felt good. And guess what? I got what I wanted.
Yeah.
You can't get what
I-
you don't ask for.
Natalie and I were dating for like 9 months before I saved her number.
What was she in your? She's just your.
we were. I know we were we were at dinner at Paul Luger's in
Peter Luger.
Peter Luger's.
Steakhouse.
Did I hear they lost their Michelin star?
You can lose Michelin stars?
Probably because you weren't following Natalie on Instagram.
Yeah, probably. Where are you? Hold on.
Yeah, how
I-
does
I
it
get
get
this
redacted?
follow.
Well, by the way,
How
I'm
does
Serena.
your Michelin star get revoked? What do you have to do?
I really want to know.
Following. Well, you cease to become like a destination, really, I
Oh.
guess.
You go from like creating great food to
That's the whole
serving
point of the Michelin
chicken
stars. Like
tenders?
1 star, I think, like 1 star is if you're in this city, you should make an attempt to go. Like you have to go if you're in this city. 2 stars, I forget what it is. And 3 stars is like, it's worth taking the trip just to go to that place.
Correct.
Right? Do you know what the 2 stars is?
No, I just eat everything. in
Gotcha.
sight.
Yeah, and we were at the dinner, and she's like, "You don't have me saved in your phone." I was like, "Yeah, sorry, fuck." And I don't actively not think of doing it. I
Mhm.
just don't do it.
Well, I'm glad that we got that.
But now we're
settled.
following each
wow,
other.
Huge win for today.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, what is the point that people typically, you guys save someone's number in your phone? Like, I'm after how many
Clearly,
dates?
I'm not.
Yeah, you're.
I really want to know. I think there's I have so many people's names saved in my phone that I haven't spoken to in years. I don't even know where they are. I don't even know if they're alive. And there's that mentality of like, until I know you're here to stay, it makes no sense because I can't tell you. There are way more often times where I'm like, I need to text so-and-so, and I have to like reflect back on the conversation
Totally.
we had.
You're putting
via
keywords in
text,
there.
And I'm putting no, it's
So
a
annoying.
nightmare. It's a nightmare for me, but it's my nightmare, and I don't know why I do
my
it. But
nightmare.
it's
No, I'm right there with you. It's really
Yeah.
a huge task to press save.
So back to you.
Please.
But anyways, I brought that up because you mentioned confidence coach. You have from what I could gather, a very loyal and diehard following and fan base. And I'm just curious, where do you think that comes from? What it is about your style from relationship advice that you're sharing, or from a confidence standpoint? Because that's the energy I saw from afar, is like you are very self-confident in who you are, you know who you are, and how, as a confidence coach, I'm curious, how have you tried to share that? Because I feel like that's probably one of the hardest things to get people to learn, is to be confident. I sometimes wonder if it's either you got it or you don't. or you can learn certain behaviors, but it's generally hard to teach.
Well, thank you for saying that. I think that I'm kind of like, I see myself as like the Regina George, but like the nice version, like bullying you into loving yourself is kind of my vibe. And I think that like people like being told what to do, like in the bedroom and outside of it. And I feel like people want direction. And I think that that's why you're also so successful with this, because it's straight to the point.
Yeah. There's definitely when people call on, there's a bit of a like, is Nick going to yell at me energy?
And they like that.
Yeah.
They want to be yelled at.
Yeah, they want to be held accountable.
Yeah.
1,000%. They feel like I slap them in the face sometimes, but it's
With the truth,
always
metaphorically.
Of course.
Obviously.
Well, just kidding. No violence in this household. But I think that it's just I think life is way too short, and I think that if people were really honest with themselves, then they could move on from things that don't serve them quicker. I think that confidence is something that we're all born with. I think that as we grow up and we see ourselves or we see a lack of something, whether it's media that we are watching or a comment made by someone, that's when we begin to question our self-worth. And I think the way to go back to that is literally to just become your own best friend. And to think about every single person in your life that you respect and love. Like, you're constantly admiring them. I mean, I already told you I liked your book. I want you to follow me. Like, I'm literally giving you so much love. Now, what if I did that to myself? Like, literally physically got in front of a mirror and like spoke to myself. And I was like, you're a bad fucking bitch.
Do you do that?
All the time. So much so that when I was 18, I changed my middle name to fucking to remember. Yeah. So whenever I would forget, I'd be like, you're Serena fucking Kerrigan. And I think that people like that because it gives them permission to be confident. Because usually when people are confident, they're labeled as cocky or like arrogant. And especially women, like they're afraid to be like, I look hot. Because saying that and being like, I'm a baddie or like I'm successful doesn't necessarily mean that no one else is or that you're, being conceited. But I think it's just feeling empowered. So I think that that's what the lure of the persona and the brand is just kind of this like really extra main character energy.
What do you think the difference between cocky and confidence is?
I think that being cocky or arrogant is when you need to bring people down to lift yourself up. I think that when you feel really good about yourself, you are lifting yourself up and everyone along you, right? Yeah. Like, I'm really smart and so is every single person in this room. Versus being like, that was like not really a good comment, but mine was amazing, right? That's the difference. You're lifting. Constant.
Yeah, and I suppose maybe too where you're from a cockiness where you don't, when the light is shining on someone else, you're trying to steal that light, so to speak.
Totally, because you're insecure.
Yeah.
Because everyone can exist and like be great at the same time, in the same plane.
How do you, when you're dating, what do you think are your biggest challenges for yourself in the dating space that you're trying to work on?
What are my struggles with dating?
Yeah, what are things that you're currently trying to work on? Like, or what are your like? Yeah, I mean, how do you get in your own way while you're dating? Because I think we all can get in our own way while we're dating, and we have certain bad habits and things that you're just like, I'll always have to work on this, but I'm going to keep working on it.
I think that's a great question. I think that I created this persona on the internet and even before I did it when I was 18 to really remind myself to be confident. And I really tapped into this persona whenever I was feeling down on myself. And so she was like this character that I could embody, kind of like a Lady Gaga, Sasha Fierce. Like, we all have it maybe, or we should, because it really did help me. But I think that when I go on, whenever I feel insecure or anxious about something, I turn her on, and I think it can come off a little like abrasive or aggressive. I think it's learning how to be okay with being vulnerable and not turning on that SFK persona. That's what I'm working on, because it comes off intimidating and vicious, as someone said to me recently on a date.
Vicious?
They called me vicious.
Can you give more context?
But then like they were down to keep, no, that was it. Like, that was the just word to describe
like, you're
it.
Vicious.
Yeah, but it was like kind of hot and turned me on.
Yeah.
We have another date. So, but I'm learning to be okay being softer and leaning into my feminine energy. And I think that, when you're running a business or you have a career as a woman, like, you're constantly leaning in, you're constantly trying to get a seat at the table, metaphorically speaking. And then I'm learning on dates, like, I do want someone that has masculine energy. I do want to kind of like lean back and have them lead. Like, I genuinely want that. But this SFK persona is so bad bitch masculine, calling the shots, that like I have to kind of turn her down.
Sure. Yeah. And do you feel, and so you believe that can coincide in a relationship where you have a little bit of both energy?
We'll figure it out.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I find myself relating to that, you know, like I think I bring even feminine energy to a relationship too, and I've always liked women who are very confident in themselves, and I like, I guess, a masculine energy on some levels from the women I date, but I've always enjoyed, I guess, a feminine energy in a sense. Yeah, I like someone who can be a boss, so to speak, and kind of has kind of lioness energy, if you will, who can kind of like be ferocious when people kind of come at her people.
Vicious.
But
Because it's impressive.
it's hot. Yeah,
It's so impressive.
Yeah.
It's
And it means
hot.
really like you're empowered enough to like stand on your own ground.
Also, I feel like there's an element of like, I've always been attracted to people who can take care of themselves, you know? And as I say that as someone who really loves to take care of the people I love, but it's
It's not because they need
it's
you
more
to. It's
enjoyable.
like a treat.
Yeah,
correct?
it's more enjoyable when it's a treat. Yeah, rather than like,
An
okay.
obligation.
Yeah, where like they're, because I find it to be a turnoff when I need to like.
I think it's a lot of balance.
Yeah.
It's balancing both. And I'm learning to do that. Like really just kind of like letting them lead in some regard. Not that I need them to, but I think that if not, I found that in the past I have emasculated men without realizing.
How so?
I think that it's just, I mean, I'm, you know, a successful woman and I was dating a lot of men that were like close to my age or younger. And it's not to say that like young men like aren't successful at or mature enough or whatever, but I think that like I just found that it was a lot for them. Like it was a lot, like the internet following and the card game business and like being my own boss. Like I think that's a lot when you're dating someone who might not be there in their career yet. And I just felt like I just came on too strong.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. I got a Milk Bar pie and I was like, this is perfect. I'm hosting a Friendsgiving in a few days. I'll bring this. Cut to that night. I'm like, it looks really good. I'll try it. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Like, no, it doesn't matter. I did not bring it to Friendsgiving because it was one of the best desserts I have ever had in my life. I didn't eat all of it before, but I was like, I'm not sharing this. Unfortunately, I will not be sharing this. This is so good. And they have, not only do they have their Milk Bar pie, but they have a whole variety of awesome seasonal products.
If you want to impress people with a delicious dessert or you just want to treat yourself, Milk Bar.
And, you know, we're very lucky because we live in Los Angeles. So we can go to some brick and mortar Milk Bar stores. If you do not have a Milk Bar store in your location, you are in luck. They ship nationwide. You can schedule your delivery ahead of time. Make it so easy. Not another to do in the holiday season.
Milk Bar is the perfect gift for anyone and everyone in your life this holiday season. For a limited time, Milk Bar is offering their delicious new chocolate chip mint cake and truffles. And peppermint bark snap cookies. Just in time for the holidays, also get your hands on their limited quality of lab drops, including their peppermint diet pie. Ooh, that's fun to say. Made in a limited batches straight from their experimental kitchen. It's never too early to plan ahead. Place your order today to schedule your treats to be delivered right before the holidays. But if you waited last minute and need desserts stat, they also offer fast overnight nationwide delivery. So if you want to try Milk Bar, try them right now because Milk Bar has a special offer for a limited time only. Get $15 off any order of $80 or more when you go to milkbarstore.com/VIALL. That's 15 buckaroos off an order of $80 or more by going to milkbarstore.com/VIALL. That is milkbarstore.com/VIALL.
You know what the first thing I did this morning is?
Did you use your Osea products?
You know I use their ocean cleanser.
On your body, on your face?
I cannot say enough good things about Osea's products. They are all so high quality. They have body butters. They have an oil that's like Undaria that is just really moisturizing, especially as it gets dry, as it gets cold, you know, whether you're in like a proper winter place or a fake winter place like Los Angeles, you know you need to get some moisture up in there. And Osea is the best way to do it. It is just like the most high quality product.
Well, they feel natural and they smell really good and they're effective, but I don't know, I feel like I'm at like a spa or the beach or something. I don't know. We also went and got facials at their actual store. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
It makes a great gift for the holiday season. A 6-piece set of luxurious skincare and body care favorites in convenient and adorable travel size for a complete glow up from head to toe. Also, you could try getting this for yourself or a friend. There are 3 best-selling face products. Their Ocean Cleanser, their Hyaluronic C Serum, and Seabiotic Water Cream. All just making your skin supple
all amazing. And I think the really nice thing about the pack of their 6 top selling products is that like everybody has products that like you love at first try. And I think this is the best and fastest way to help someone find their version of that for Osea, because they have some absolute goodies.
For a gift that will impress, check out Osea's best-selling minis collection. Right now, our listeners get 10% off your first order with promo code VIALL at OseaMalibu.com. You'll even get free samples with every order, and orders over $50 get free shipping. That's 10% off at Osea, OSEA, Malibu.com. Promo code VIALL. That's OseaMalibu.com. Promo code VIALL. You're actively in the dating space. How do you see kind of the dating landscape between heterosexual men and women who are trying to date each other? Because it seems like there's a lot of contention and frustration. What are some things that you think you would like to see men step up and do better? And what are some things that you think women could maybe, step up and do their part as well to, bridge that gap between the genders?
I think a lot of it comes down to communication. I think everything comes down to communication. I think that what I've noticed is that and I don't think that there's really a middle ground in this. Like, it's very obvious to me when there's a man that wants to be in a relationship and one that doesn't. Like, it's very clear. And when you meet a man that knows what he wants, it just makes everything so much easier. And I recently met my turning point man.
Your turning point man?
My turning point man.
What's
Trademark.
that?
No, legit. It's like the man that makes me realize that dating boys, that chapter of my life is over. And by boys, I mean the guy that isn't sure what he wants, that is still like young and wants to sleep with women. And that's great. And like wants to have fun. But like you meet a guy who's maybe a little older, a little more successful, a little more, sure of himself. And he says point blank, like this, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready. And then it's like everything about the dating experience for me has changed since then. Like, I went on a date before the turning point man and he couldn't even pick the restaurant. And then I didn't want to pick the restaurant because I don't want to lead.
You want them to show initiative.
I want that, right? So, but I did, even though it's New York City and there's a million restaurants. Okay, I'll suggest. We suggest at the end of the meal, he's like, well, if I'd known you were going to pick the most expensive restaurant in New York.
Oh.
Which, by the way, like, it wasn't. And I was like, you want the most expensive? Like, but it was more like you couldn't lead, and then you asked me for help, and then you criticized me. Now the turning point man, he knows where we're going. He's picking me up in an Uber. We're not even thinking about the dinner and the meal. It's about the conversation, the communication, the connection. Everything else is like noise,
Yeah.
So I've noticed that ever since I've done that and I've started dating people that are like the turning point man, the guy that like is just like, ever since I dated him, I can't go back. Well, I just think that a lot of it, what I see with women, I can speak more to women. I don't want to like be here like criticizing men. It's more just like, I think that like people are very honest from the beginning about what they want. And I think a lot of people lie to themselves or make excuses. And I did that too. I think a major problem that I saw is the talking stage. And I got totally sucked into it this summer. I was dating this guy. And he worked at a really intense job, so he couldn't see me a lot. And I realized that we were texting for 3 months and we'd only hung out like a handful of times. But I built him up so much in my head because we were texting all the time and we were sending like cute emojis and pictures. And then I went to Ibiza and he dumped me via text when I was at a fish shack. And I like could not believe it, like could not wrap my head around it. I was completely blindsided. But then like in retrospect, I'm like, but we didn't even know each other. Like texting is not a way to get to know someone.
Yeah, correct. And you weren't ever FaceTiming or Zooming, just mostly text and a few dates?
We were FaceTiming a little bit, but not enough.
Yeah. How do you, like that talking stage? Because like your turning point man, it makes a lot of sense. I want someone who leads, who takes the initiative, makes me feel like a priority. That all makes a lot of sense. If I were just to play devil's advocate in terms of, from a guy's standpoint point of view, I'm just trying to think of what they would say or someone might say.
Okay.
How, early on in dating, how do you go from, if a guy is meant to want to take the lead or take the initiative, but also he's trying to figure things out too, right? Because I think things have shifted a little bit between, like in the past, it was very traditional, like, guy makes a move, asks out, guy says, I love you first, guy pays. And now that's kind of changed a little bit. It's adjusted. And I weirdly think guys have also been like, well, sure. I mean, I'm gonna sit back and wait too, and I want to see. You know, we saw a lot of that on Bachelor in Paradise this season. All the guys were like, well, I want to be loved and pursued too. You know, like Justin was saying that. So where do you, now that you see all your turning point guy, like how much time or space or grace do you give to the people you're kind of getting to know for them to like suss you out versus take the initiative because they know they want something here? Am I making any sense?
100%. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying like all these guys want to marry me. Like, I mean, they probably do. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not saying that, but
Serena
I think
fucking Kerrigan.
I mean, hello, like around the block. Okay. I think what it is, and I think that's a fantastic question. I think that it's more like they are taking the initiative to get to know me.
There you go. Yeah.
Not because they want a relationship with me, but because getting to know someone takes time. And this also kind of clicked for me where like I used to go on a first date and fall in love at first makeout. Like I was like literally changing my last name in my notebook. I was like, is that going to work? I was like planning our futures together. Like I was like stalking their siblings and moms on Instagram. And after 2 hours? Because I have a 2 drinks and ditch rule for the first date.
2 drinks and ditch rule.
Yeah.
What?
You cap it at 2 drinks for the first date.
Okay.
And then you ditch.
No.
Not like, run, but like.
Yeah.
But no
Irish
more
exit
drinks.
the date.
No more drinks. Do have applies at 7 a.m. I don't care if it's real or fake. You're leaving.
Okay.
I think.
I like that. It's good.
Yeah. Keep it light.
It
keep
keeps
it tight.
you. I think it's a rule for yourself.
It's
more than anything.
It's 100% a rule for yourself.
Yeah.
I think that it's about taking the initiative to get to know someone and realizing that it's going to take a long time to know them and not idealize them right off the bat. Like I literally get messages from girls all the time being like, we had the most perfect first date and then he ghosted me. And I'm like,
it's that perfect first date.
I'm like,
perfect first date.
Perfect first dates are,
It's just his first date. You don't know him. Still a total stranger.
They're usually perfect. I mean, I have all my jokes lined up ready to go for the first date, So I'm a motherfucking comedian on that first date.
No,
and
but truly, like I all the time. I mean, every Sunday, questions with Nick. Perfect first date,
How long would you say that it takes to really get to know someone?
Really get to know someone?
In terms of, because another thing is like, a question that I know you get asked all the time, which is like the what are we conversation.
Yeah, it's more, I define it like, as I even mentioned in the book, I define it in more, how long does it take to like build emotional connection with someone?
Correct. To how long do you think?
I would say months, not weeks.
I agree.
And I would say multiple dates, right? That's not an excuse for like, say, like a fuckboy or someone else to pull out from the relationship. But I just mean, and I also think progress matters. Like there's a line in business, if you're not growing, you're dying, right? I think that works in relationships too. Like it's not so much about like, oh, well, I have to define the relationship by a certain date. We need an emotional connection by a certain date. It's just like, are you continuing to get to know each other? Do you feel like it's progressing? Is there more interest than less interest? Are they making you more of a priority than less of a priority? If those things are progressing, it can take a long time. But yeah, I think you need to meet some conflict. You need to disagree a little bit. You need to like
friends.
Meet some friends. You need, it's that point in the relationship. I don't know how long it takes, but it's when you are not wondering how they think and feel about you all the time.
Exactly.
I also feel like you talk a lot about seeing someone disappointed. Like I think there's those kind of like situational milestones of like context that bring out a new side of someone. Do you have any like kind of, not necessarily, I don't want to say turning point because that's different for the man, but like in terms of things like scenarios that you've been in that have really like uncovered someone's character or a dimension of their personality that's really relevant to dating them?
Totally. It's time and conversation. Like you get to know more and more and more about them and their views on life and how they interact with their friends or what their friends are like, which I think tells you a lot. I think like you can have sex with them, not to say that you should write someone off, if the sex isn't good on the first time, but I think that it just takes a lot of time. Going on a vacation with a partner, I think that's
can help.
I think it's important to see what they're like in the airport.
Yeah, and I think it's just a balance. Yeah, they're like at the airport.
It's really important to know what someone's like at the airport.
Yeah, like what happens when
like how quick are they taking off their, stuff at TSA? Like I need to know, like what kind of traveler are you? Like how many snacks are you buying? Like are you arriving 10 minutes before? Are you like a 3-hour person? Like those are important things.
Yeah. And I think to combat like people using that as an excuse not to commit or define a relationship, things have to be progressing. Things have to be, and I always say you can define a relationship without giving the labels of boyfriend and girlfriends. It's just defining a relationship is just setting expectations and boundaries with each other. Like, what are you okay with going forward? Like, I don't want to keep like sleeping over at your house every night without like some certainty that you're not fucking other people, or I want to keep seeing you more and the other person doesn't. Like, yeah, I'd love to. And like defining the relationship could be like, I'd love to see you a lot more. Can I see you next week? And the other person says, I would love that too. How's Tuesday?
100%. I think that people don't do that because they're afraid of the answer. When I honestly would want to know at some point, like, are we on the same page? The last couple of relationships I've had, like long-term ones, the question of are we dating didn't really even, it was obvious. Like, it was so obvious that we were on the same page.
Did you avoid
the conversation?
Yeah.
No, I think like it just, we were spending all of our time together talking every day. Like eventually I think it was like, will you be my girlfriend? Or like, why haven't you asked me to be your girlfriend? Or something silly, which I know you probably don't like. Why haven't you asked me? Because like, you decide, bitch. But like, it was like a silly, cute little thing.
I mean, I wouldn't say it like that. But.
Right, of course. I would, as of Kate would. But I think it's too many times with friends, with myself even, like the beginning stage of a relationship should feel, I think it should feel easy. I think it should flow.
No,
it should flow.
Yeah.
Like if you have anxiety, even, okay, something that I was doing a lot this summer, especially with the texting guy, was like screenshotting every text that this guy would send me and texting it to like the group chat, being like, what should I say?
Yeah.
And then with this turning point guy that I'm dating, I don't even think twice. And I thought like, wow, that for me is such a good indicator that I feel safe in this relationship. And I don't mean relationship as we're dating boyfriend, girlfriend, but the progression. I feel safe to just say something and not worry that he might walk away. But that's about me and my confidence level, and also just feeling like there's a synergy there, I think. I started, and I think this comes with age and perspective, like literally there's just so many people on this fucking planet. So I would rather just move on. Like if you don't like me, no problem. Like let's move on. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah.
I think you're speaking about kind of overcoming the way that people are conditioned to kind of be the cool girl or pick me girl behavior of like, I want someone to like, I'm going to be passive, and like all of these other ways that learned behaviors people like women have. And I'm curious for you, like both with yourself and then also the people you work with, like what are some things that's really important for folks to unlearn in order to like stop holding themselves back?
I mean, first and foremost, that you aren't deserving of an amazing relationship and love, and that, you know, you don't have to settle, you know? Like, I don't give a shit if he was, like, really nice to you and he ordered you an Uber. Like, the bar is so fucking low, I can't. But, like, it's like, no, but really, like, you need to know within yourself that, like, you deserve the best. And what I tell people to do is think about if your best friend came to you and with all this, right? Being like, well, he has ignored me for a week, but now he wants to see me, like, at night. And, like, you know, it's like, what would you tell her? That's what you have to tell to yourself. It always comes back to yourself and like the love you have for yourself. And that's kind of like the core of the work that I do.
Totally. Yeah. And I love the analogy of like being a best friend to yourself, because, you know, people often give advice to their friends they wouldn't give to themselves. And they're usually doing it, again, obviously it gets the ego of being like, well, we don't really care about you being happy. And obviously we always are looking to our egos to be that friend, and we shouldn't. We should look to our, you know, I don't know what the alternative is, but it's not the thing that's saying what's the way that make us feel the most validated and special compared to everyone else. And that's when that pick me energy comes from, because it's being the person that they finally pick because they didn't pick all the rest, you know, and that's when you're really fucked.
Right. 100%. And I feel like you just have to get to a place where like, I'm 28 years old and I was at a bachelorette this weekend. I'm going to a bachelorette next weekend. I have friends that are pregnant, married. Like, it's so easy for me to fall into the, oh my God, I'm scared I'm not going to meet I think that I will meet my person the same way that my name is Serena fucking Kerrigan. It's just a fact. The same way Nick has a great book. It's just a fact. So I believe it so much that I let it flow and I let the universe do its thing.
I mean, that's perfect. I mean, it will happen.
100%.
That's not really not a matter of if you believe it, because you just have to, and I'm assuming you're okay with it happening on the universe's timeline and not yours.
Absolutely, because I think that and I've been in therapy since I was 7 years old, and I like took a break for a while. I was like, bitch, like I'm done. Like I graduated from school therapy. And then I was like, no, wait, I'm not. And I realized I had a lot more work to do, a lot about this persona and how I want to show up on dates and what do I really want from a relationship. Like, it's fun to be the boss, but like it is nice to be taken care of. Not because I have to be or I need it, but because it's nice to be nurtured and have you be someone's priority. And that's okay to say. That's not like a weak thing. And so that's been what I've been working on. And I've been and since doing that work, the level of men has, I think, shifted. I think I'm dating a lot more high value men that are sure of themselves, that love that I have a career and that I'm successful and aren't intimidated by that.
I know you have your what's your dating game called?
Let's fucking date.
Oh, great, there you go.
I know you have a girlfriend, but let's fucking date.
We're going to play that in a second. But before we do, I want to talk about White Lotus with you because I haven't talked about it with anyone else and I know you're all caught up.
Okay, let's do it.
What do you think about the season so far?
Fucking amazing. You?
I love it. I saw this internet rumor, so I can't take credit from it, but spoiler alert, sorry, Amanda. But like that was him and the cowboy. He's the cowboy. Yes. The ex is the cowboy. Yes. Yeah. And so she's the target.
Tanya.
Yeah. Right. Tanya's is like
husband.
There's a whole confidence game going on.
I think
they're trying to take her money.
They're trying to take her money. I think they're trying to take Tanya's money. The guy that is at the Palazzo. I think they're conspiring because that we saw at the top of the season, her husband, Greg, is it called? Greg is like talking to someone, being, I love you. And then, Tanya, we just last year doing blow and like getting eaten out by that guy. I think they're gonna make it her death seem like a suicide.
Do you think she dies?
Tanya, yeah. Or they try to kill Tanya, but Portia dies, her assistant.
You think Portia
or maybe Jack, the guy that Portia has been fucking.
I'm fine with him dying.
Me too. He's so annoying. When I was watching the episode, I was like, wow, I've been in that situation where like you're with this really hot guy and you're so excited and then like he starts getting drunk and you're like, oh my God, like you lose.
Yeah, and the like it doesn't matter, let's just have fun, like, like energy. Like I hate that guy. I'm like, I don't want to have fun. No, I hate that energy. What's going to happen with Theo James and his posse? I feel like it's a completely separate story. How are they going to start interacting with each other?
I think that who's the husband? The other husband? Harper's husband?
Ethan.
I feel like Ethan could kill Cam.
I could see, yeah.
Or Harper. I mean, there was like a lot of intense music when she saw him talking to the prostitutes. I think Lucia could die. The prostitute. Is Alessio her pimp A? Is she in on it? Like, is he actually like, they could be conspiring together.
Or they could be running some sort of scam potentially.
I think that's what's so brilliant about the shows. There's really, truly so many possibilities.
I think my biggest critic, I've gotten a lot of, and I don't see it. Everyone keeps saying I'm looking like Theo James from White Lotus 2. I don't.
Oh, wow. That was a really nice compliment.
It is nice. I don't see it, but I've gotten it a lot since it's happened. I've gotten him before, but I've gotten it a ton since it's come out. But I also like his character is very unlikable. Mm-hmm. But
is that why they're saying that?
No. Well, I will say I think my biggest critic, like if they have an idea of me, I think it's him. I think my biggest hater thinks I embody that character.
You don't.
No, I know I don't.
Okay, good.
But I'm confident I don't.
No, you really don't, Nick.
In case you're worried, don't worry. But I think if my biggest critic is watching this, they think I embody that guy.
I mean, now that you said it.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting question. Like, what do you perceive the people who don't like you? Like, what do you perceive that like character mutation version of you like that they're thinking of?
It's this Cam character on White Lotus 2 played by Theo James.
Do you have an answer?
Like Regina George, which I'm so happy to be.
Yeah, powerful.
But I'm like,
why
nice.
Why do you think that?
No, I mean, I feel like I'm super nice. So I don't know. I don't know why I rub people the wrong way. And I know I do. Like I've seen the thing.
You have a big personality.
Right.
I mean, it comes with the territory.
Yeah.
And you're unapologetic for that big personality and you are willing to speak your mind at the risk of people disagreeing with it. And you set yourself up for people to disagree with it. If you share your opinion with confidence, it attracts criticism.
Totally.
I also think people like to feel needed. And when you're being unconfident, what you're kind of saying to other people is like, I need you to validate or like back this up. And I think to come in with such strong, independent energy and be like, I don't fucking need you. I know exactly where I stand is probably like a little ego bruise to people.
There's also like when you give off the vibe of I don't care what you think, or even if you say I don't care what you think, people love
Victoria.
People love to test that theory.
For sure.
You know, it's like, oh, okay, you don't care? Well, let me go ahead and troll you for a moment and, pick apart whatever I think your insecurities are about yourself. Do you believe, like, my girlfriend Natalie and I disagree about this. She learned, and it makes a lot of sense. She learned this from her mom. She's just like, she doesn't publicly put out what she's insecure about for the very reason that gives people ammunition against her. And she can voice her insecurities to like people like me and her friends, but she doesn't. I'm of the, well, if you can own an insecurity and put it out there, while people will try to use it against you, it makes it harder to do.
I think when you're honest about what you're insecure about or what you're struggling with, it removes a layer of shame.
Yeah.
And that's very empowering. Like you feel like, because people are like, I feel that way too. It's not about getting the validation from comments or followers. It's about sharing how you feel about something. And it's almost like keeping it secret or, but I get that she's telling you and her friends. So that's important too. I think I agree that you need boundaries on the internet. I think that's also why I also kind of created this persona, because I wanted there to be some kind of buffer, because it does get pretty vicious sometimes. Not to use that word again. But I think that sometimes when you're really honest, like I've noticed, like it's like, it's like this relief, like that wasn't so scary to be honest about.
Yeah, like we were all doing this performance and now you're admitting that like you're breaking character and now I can too, in a way that's like so much more safe.
It's such a huge relief to like admitted vulnerability.
Yeah.
Even in a relationship, especially if you're about to fight with your partner. Just to tell them
like humanize yourself.
I have found that to be a great way to avoid conflict in a relationship.
You just break down crying.
Yeah, that. No, but like if my partner, like if I'm frustrated with my partner about something, because usually what happens in that situation, you're like, all right, like no one wants to, well, most people don't want to fight, but even in relationships, you're just like, I'm frustrated, I'm mad. How do I address this? And usually it's just like, hey, can we talk? And it's upsetting me that you do this. Like usually that's how these conversations start. I'm upset and you did something. And it's always some version of that. And even though we're saying it like calmly and I don't want to fight, but like it's always starts with I'm upset and you did something.
Right.
Which immediately just puts your partner on the defense. Well, it's just like, well, but you did, it always goes that way. And I just started trying to like kind of center my insecurities of like, hey, I'm feeling insecure about this right now, and honestly, I don't know where it's coming from. I'm probably sensitive about this, so I'm probably there's a level of overreacting, but I also don't think I'm crazy. And I think, like I'd love to talk about with you because there's some things I'm noticing too. And again, I'm not pointing the finger. I'm just like, could we talk about this? Could we talk about this, about the thing that I'm feeling so that I don't feel it anymore? And
it's the best thing to do.
It works great. It's worked really well with Natalie and I. And we've tried that. And for years, I was always like, I'm upset because you're doing this, always feeling justified because of my feelings.
But it's not that maybe she's doing something, but it's triggering a feeling within you.
Yeah.
That's your own. So leading with I feel this way versus you did this is like, it's the way to handle conflict.
It's going, it went really well. So it's going, So, but it comes from being able to name that insecurity. And I think it's something guys could probably work on a lot more because I don't think they're very used to saying, I'm feeling insecure right now. Can we work on it? But I will say, it takes a lot of vulnerability because you are sharing that insecurity. And I think a lot of partners often, unfortunately, weaponize that in relationships, right? You don't think so?
I don't know. That would be really fucking shitty if you, shared your vulnerability with your partner and then they use that against you.
Yeah, they do sometimes, or judge you for it or bring it up later. But it can be, but also if you do that and they weaponize it, that should be a non-negotiable. That's like a
fireable offense immediately.
Fireable offense, yeah. And I think too many people put up with that shit in relationships to have their insecurities used against them. Yeah,
I feel like insecurity and loneliness are two emotions that like I found it really hard to acknowledge or identify within myself for a really long time. And then all of a sudden when I did, I was like, wow, like it is so much more empowering and like, okay, like getting over this hump and being on the other side of it. Because like those are just two things that I think it feels so like vulnerable to step into of like, it's a lot to take on, I think. And it feels really, really like it's like the worst, least desirable thing that you could be.
Yeah. When your partner shares a vulnerability, you should really pay attention. Yeah. And nurture and care it.
Yeah. And friends too.
So 3 people are going to die in White Lotus, you think? I was not prepared for that.
Yeah. Who do you think is in the water?
Well, I saw like a TikTok clip. It looked like a woman's foot.
Okay. That would check if it was Tanya. or Portia, because they're also not, they're in Porto. They're away from the hotel right now. So that would mean they have to get on the boat back.
But the opening scene was, what was Cam's wife's name?
Daphne?
Daphne. She was like at the beach ready to leave the vacation. Right. She seemed in good spirits.
True.
So I don't think Cam's dead.
But that might not be the last scene of the show.
Maybe that's not the
she's
last
in good spirits before she finds the body in the water.
Sure, but she was on her way to, yeah, you're right. To Serena's point, maybe it's like not quite the end.
It's not the last scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the last few scenes. It's like, huh. I will say something about Cam not paying, is it Lucia is going to play a significant role.
Totally sus.
Yeah. He hasn't paid her for
the sex.
I
also think that he planted the condom like on the couch. I think him and
because him and
Daphne,
they're like swingers. They're like they have an open relationship. It sure seems like. So you're right, because when his friend, not Cam,
Ethan,
when Ethan was like, "Hey, bro," she found the cam, and Cam was like, "Oh fuck," like, "Oh, like I shouldn't." But you're right, like he probably should have said to Ethan, "Whatever, I'll just tell her it was me," but he clearly didn't.
Do you think that Cam and Harper actually were like?
No, I think Harper is just trying to fuck with Ethan and just try to get a reaction from him. But like Cam would have fucked Harper, but Harper is disgusted by Ethan, I think, in general. And she's just trying to set him. She's just trying to make Ethan jealous, and obviously it's
working.
And going to backfire somehow. Yeah.
I love it. It's a great show.
All right. Let's fucking date.
Let's fucking date.
How do we play this game?
Okay. Well, there's 4 bases: first base, second base, third base, home fucking run. I sent this to you to play with Natalie. And they also have 3. I have date, fucking play. We'll do date. What's a red flag that you wish you hadn't ignored?
Well, I mean, when I was being cheated on, like her coming home at 4 a.m. on the regular. Yeah.
Right. That feels a little late.
Yeah.
So on a third date I went on recently, the guy accidentally called me Sarah. Do we think that that's a red flag I should ignore? He felt really bad. What do we think?
The question was, what's a red flag
you wish you hadn't ignored?
Okay.
Right. So
yeah, I think you can ignore that.
Okay. Freudian slip.
I think there's a lot of versions where it's not a big deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is reminding me, my friend mentioned this scenario that I think would be kind of a fodder for debate of, is it a red flag or not? He was working at a restaurant. He's like in LA to be an actor, like very good, like conventionally good looking. And a girl came up to him and asked for his number while he was on the job. He gave it to her. And she said after the fact, it was because the person she was with was friends with her ex. And so she really wanted it to get back to her ex that she was getting this like hot waiter's number. Do we think that's a red flag?
Wait, say that again?
So a girl basically like goes up, gets the number of the waiter who she thinks is good looking.
Yeah.
And then like after the fact, like that guy who gave her his number realizes it's because she was with someone who was friends with her ex. And so she was hoping her like getting this waiter's number got back to her ex as like she's like back out there.
Yeah, because there's not a good intention in getting the number. She's not actively trying to date this
waiter. She's using
waiter.
someone, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think but this came out like after when they were hanging out and they were getting along very well. So it was like a genuine connection. Like she did genuinely
she ended up
like
going out with the waiter.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then she's like, I actually only asked you to make someone jealous. But
why would
turns
she
out
tell
She
him
didn't say only. She said part of why I asked.
Well, we
you.
like the honesty.
we like the honesty. I think it's fine.
It's fine.
I mean, listen, you clock their manipulation. You know, they're a bit manipulative. What's back to your scenario? I think it's a red flag you can look past, but I think there's a very important follow-up question you need to ask.
Who's Sarah?
More importantly, what do you think of Sarah?
I don't know.
No. That's the question.
Oh.
You need to know.
Oh, I didn't.
It's a Freudian slip for sure, but in what context what lens are they viewing? Positive, negative? Do you think of Sarah positively or do you think of Sarah negatively? It's just like...
I'm neutral. Truly. Like, it bothered me in the moment, but he felt
but like them. I want to know what he thinks of Sarah.
Yeah.
Right?
Who is Sarah?
Yeah. Who is she?
You don't even know who Sarah is. You just would be like, it's fine, it's cool, but what do you think of Sarah?
That's great. That's a great response.
Because if it's...
then you know.
Sarah's great. Sarah's fun. Sarah's cool. She was such a cool time. Now, it's got to be careful because of someone from his past, but like you would... Like reading his energy, does he want to... Is he trying not to say too many nice things because he doesn't want to make you uncomfortable, or is he trying not to talk shit?
Correct.
You know? because when I do a Freudian slip, it's like, one time I was fighting with my current girlfriend and I called her my ex-girlfriend around the same friends. And it was because like we were fighting and I used to fight with that girlfriend. It was like I was in the very same environment as a previous girlfriend. And it just like took me back to that place. And then she just became that girlfriend in that moment.
Right.
And it was a not a good reason. Like it was like there was nothing going on with the ex. That was like years earlier, but it was something that she didn't want me to say because it came from a negative place of being very upset with them and very frustrated with them. So I think I want to know what's the genesis of the Freud, so to speak.
I'll be like, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
I'm going to let that one go. But if it happens again, well.
But like, what do you think of Sarah? Tell me about Sarah.
Yeah.
Positive or negative? What are your thoughts?
Okay. Next question. Tell me about the worst sex you've ever had.
Me? Yeah. Worst sex I've ever had. I don't know if I really had.
You've never had bad sex?
I'm sure I have. Like I've had.
What a flex.
No. I think sex is all about making each other feel comfortable, and that's always been a priority for me. But I've, like as a guy, it's okay. It wasn't even bad sex, but I think I've told this story before, but like there were, like I can always, if someone like watches too much porn. And I think sometimes when dirty talk goes wrong, that's when I'm not enjoying it. I have in my mind mentally thought, shut the fuck up.
Right.
Like where they just keep saying the dirty talk and, start talking about like, I'm coming. And I'm like, we just started.
Right.
Like not possible.
Do you just make out with them to make them quiet? Is that your go-to move?
I don't really have a move. I don't have a recovery move. That was something that would make the experience awkward, but it wasn't like bad sex. It was just more me like feeling, I felt it made me feel disconnected to them.
Right.
Right. And it's when dirty talk goes bad. What about you?
The jackhammer move was like scary, for a while.
Sure. You mean like
just like, I think to your point, it's like, sex is it's a language of intimacy. So I think like I've noticed as I've gotten older, like I don't want to have sex with like, just random people.
Yeah.
As fun as a one night stand can be, sometimes I think like there needs to be a level of like respect and communication. And I just feel like getting rammed, is just like sometimes it's not what I want.
Yeah, like I feel like there's
by a
like
stranger.
The moment of like you're getting rammed, you're like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Let's rewind.
Yeah. It's like a little rabbit.
Yeah. How, as women who are participating in hookup culture, how do you
participant?
How do you? Right. I mean, like, how do you try to ensure you're going to have a good time? Because I do think a lot goes on the responsibility of men to, you know what I'm saying? To like, are men going to participate in foreplay? Are they going to do the whole like just go in, hit it and quit it, be aggressive? Like how, if at all, are you trying to communicate that with someone you barely know, or do you just kind of hope for the best? Like, what advice would you have for women out there participating in hookup culture who are trying to enjoy this experience without like knowing too much? Like how many conversations are happening about likes and dislikes prior to like hooking up with someone who's essentially a complete stranger?
Well, if you have my card game, it helps because there's a lot of questions about what you like during sex. And I feel like that kind of pre-communication is the reason why a lot of people have like the best sex of their life from my game. Not to plug it, but it's true. That's why I created it, to create that kind of, and it can be with a rando, but if you're not.
So someone should be participating in hookup culture, should be carrying around this card in their purse at all times, because if they meet someone they want to slam night one or night two, they're like, before we do, we must play this game. Maybe even for some drinks, it'll be fun, and it'll honestly spicing up the mood. It'll get us going, and in the meantime, you get some notes.
Oh my God, does someone have that on tape? Like, I love that was the best piece of content ever. Thank you.
We literally do.
Hashtag sponsored.
And you're also allowed to talk about it during. Like, that was one thing I was really struck by when I was like hooking up with women, and it was like newer to me, was like how much more free flowing the communication was and normalized. And it wasn't like some big like you're in trouble and you did something wrong and it was just like a genuine curiosity and an openness,
You're in trouble. That sounds terrifying.
What do you mean?
That's what I mean. Yeah. Like, it wasn't like that. Like, I think sometimes when people think about trying to communicate or correct.
Check in,
Like
give a note.
They think about like someone feeling like chastised or feeling like embarrassed that they're like not doing it right.
I feel bad for saying I wanted this. I'm like, why? Like, it only also improves the whole experience for everyone. I think communication is really key. I think there's ways that you can kind of, like gesture.
Also, move their hands. Like to your question about
literally.
like what can you like literally move their hands
In a consensual way, of course.
In a consensual way. Like if they're like not doing it quite right. Like
Also, could we? What if like beforehand? What's a question you could ask guys or women or whatever each other to see if they're willing to take a note, right? Because it comes down to, can they take criticism of any kind? They maybe just questions around that.
I feel like you can do it in like a positive, like I think one question that I asked that took a guy by surprise was I at one point was like, what do you need / want right now? And he was completely taken aback because he'd never been asked that before. But you can also like lead by example in that way, because then you would hope that they would ask the same thing.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, that's such a good point. Like if they don't reciprocate the question, then it's like they're not going to reciprocate anything else.
I typically ask like, does that feel good? Like, does this feel good? I think that's like a fun way. It's kind of hot.
Would you say, and when it doesn't feel good?
Well, it never doesn't feel good, but I'm just kidding. Sorry.
But if it doesn't, what would you say? Like, how do you give that note?
Well, I think it's like if someone said to me,
you're in the middle of hooking up.
Okay.
You're like, does it feel good?
And he says no.
Well, I guess I'm reversing the roles. Let's say he's doing the thing. He's checking in. He's like, hey, babe, does it feel good? And you're actually thinking, well, not really. How do you give that note?
Sorry, this happened to me really, really recently.
And?
He was literally changing positions like a lot. Like it felt
shapeshifter.
like it felt like we were like in an
he watches
action
too much
sequence.
porn. I already know.
Stay.
Yeah, like it was like a lot of like flipping and turning, and I was just like, can we just slow down like a little bit? And he was just like, oh yeah, like and that's what it was. It was just like, can we slow down? And immediately, like I think that like they want you to feel good and they want you to enjoy the experience, and if they don't, you shouldn't be fucking them anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I think so, but I can't speak for all men. Do you think the men that you see out there in the dating space genuinely, most of them, not want it to be a mutually enjoyable experience? And
if they don't, the way I'm like shook to my core, like the way that like men don't engage in foreplay and they just like stick it in there, like it's really shocking. So
and that's happening.
I think it's happened. I think if you tend to date older men with more experience, then maybe you have a better success rate.
It's such an age thing.
It is.
It's like really,
It just is.
I think, and I also think it's a long-term relationship thing where like, I feel like I can tell when a guy has had a long-term girlfriend because I'm like, you were trained. You came in here like, you know the job. Like, and of course there's like you have a different boss now, but like, it is kind of, I think there's like a level of like
boss.
attention and like a kind of like, if you know type thing. Do you?
Yes, I think it's an age thing.
Yeah. Next question.
What would you call a reality TV show about your life?
A reality TV show about my life? But we need Robin here. I feel like she'd come up with a good idea.
Yeah, she would.
I don't know. Do you have any ideas?
Don't text her ex happy birthday.
Sure. Yeah. A reality TV show about my life. Like, I don't know. Like, right now I'm thinking, do I want to be snarky? Do I want to be like genuine? Do I want to be, I don't know, about my life?
Overthink about it?
Overthinking about, isn't that a show?
Yeah, no, that's what I thought too. I think there's a book called Overthinking About You.
Oh, yeah. We had her on the
my
podcast.
God, yes, Allison.
There you go.
Why does that sound
So there's
familiar?
like, I know that's a book name.
Cabinet doors of my mind.
Allison Raskin, shout out. I don't know. I don't have a good one.
Okay, moving on. Compliment yourself.
Compliment myself.
Well, you already kind of did with the Theo James. I'm kidding.
I don't see it. I really don't. But I've really gotten it a lot recently. Compliment myself. You can always count on me.
That's a great compliment.
Yeah. If I tell you, you can.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, I have the last one. This is my favorite question. And I always ask this on a first date. If you were a type of soup, what soup would you be? I'll go first.
Okay, thank you.
I would be French onion because I'm like decadent, performative, but gooey on the inside. Like I have a lot of layers. I can be cheesy at times. Yeah, I'm a show-stopping soup.
French, an aesthetic.
I am partly French Canadian, so there you go.
I'm going to say chicken noodle.
Okay. But why? Not because it's your favorite.
It is. But also, it's obviously a basic soup. And at the end of the day, I think I am fairly basic.
Okay.
A classic.
I am a classic, yeah.
It's a nice
But I
spin.
think you can dress it up with a lot of things that make it like really pop and stylish. And I'm always good for a good dress up, you know? And my roots are a basic classic man.
Consistent.
I also think it's the classic, like when you're sick
Consistent,
food.
yeah.
And so I think it goes back to what you were saying before about like, you know, there for you when you're sick.
You can always count on the chicken noodle.
You can always count on
Nick.
chicken noodle. You can always count on chicken noodle Nick.
There you go.
That's the
Chicken
reality
noodle
TV
Nick.
show.
Chicken noodle Nick.
Hey, we did it. Branding.
Do we want to hit some pop quickly?
Yeah.
Or do we all see Keke Palmer's pregnancy announcement during
We did.
her SNL hosting stand? First of all, iconic.
What an iconic.
Yeah. Can we take a moment to
No.
appreciate Keke Palmer, Akilah and the Bee, amazing movie, Jump In with Corbin Blue? Do
Akilah
people
and the
remember this
Bee.
era
Amazing.
of movies? But also I have a question for the group, which is if you, assuming like kind of world's your oyster, you have all of these, any opportunity you could ever want, like where would you want to have a huge pregnancy announcement? Like Met Gala, hosting SNL, like those kinds of like top tier.
Met Gala.
Met Gala. I mean, you can have a Met Gala.
Thanks.
It's, pregnancy announcement.
SNL is pretty iconic.
Yeah.
That's great.
And also the reveal.
Beyonce did it at
Yeah.
the VMAs,
Yeah,
right?
it's very similar to the little jacket
yeah.
situation.
It's more fun for you if
Yeah.
you're pregnant at the Met Gala. I feel like there's a lot to work with
Nick is like-
potentially.
Yeah. Nick is thinking, like, how can I announce?
How-
Sorry, it made me think. What do you think of couples where like we're pregnant?
How
do you feel about
Are you going to say that? I'm sorry. Would you ever say that?
When like couples are like we're pregnant,
One of
as
my
opposed to I
biggest
am
pet
pregnant.
peeves.
I honestly, I don't think I've ever thought about it. So it would be disingenuous to me, but to say, oh, I would never think about that because I already know the room and how they
Yeah.
feel about
He's
that.
going to answer inauthentically.
So I don't know how to.
So the answer is he would say we're pregnant.
I don't think we would. I have no problem at all letting her get all the credit for all of that. You know,
Well, I think there's a difference too. You can say we are having a baby or we're going to be parents, but it's the we're pregnant. No, we're not.
Yeah, I really agree. Is that something you
Yeah.
bring up on dates
I
pretty
wouldn't
early
say-
on, like family planning, like aspirations?
It's been asked to me more, I think.
really.
Yeah. Because I think that I've been dating men in their mid to late 30s. And I think that that's something that if they want it, they want to know pretty right off the bat. And I don't mean first date. I mean like third or fourth.
Gotcha. And as someone who is, some mid to late 30s, so you're actively dating people who aren't just like a year or two older than you. You're actively dating people who are, there's a bit of an age gap.
Yes. And it's made the world of difference.
Okay. I'm obviously in a relationship with someone I have an age gap with. What are concerns to look out for? Or we obviously heard why it works. There's a potential maturity spike. But what are some challenges that you have experienced or things to look out for if you are dating someone who's older than you? I mean, you're a confident person.
I mean, maybe they don't like want to rage like I do, but like maybe like it's okay. Like, I don't know. Like I haven't really had any,
Yeah.
the age hasn't been a problem.
I get why it's not a problem for you.
Maybe
because-
maybe it is like a family planning situation. Like maybe that's really what they want to do sooner than maybe I'm ready. I don't know.
I think at the end of the day, you have to be your confident, authentic self if you're going to date with someone with an age gap. Obviously, the common criticism is the potential power dynamic shift. And if you don't feel confident to like speak up for yourself in a situation, then that situation is not going to work out for you. Clearly, you're not that
Right.
person,
right,
so
right.
it makes sense. But yeah, if you meet someone older than you and you already have a hard time, all the things that we talked about, whether it's
Like
it's,
the all too well effect.
yeah, or just talking about what you like in bed, or just speaking up for yourself, or communicating and being upfront, and not having a problem with setting your boundaries, and just not hurting feelings, even if it requires you being honest. Then I think it works. But if you struggle with all those things, then it can be a challenge to date someone older than you, because then the power dynamic, I think, can
That's
shift
interesting.
quickly.
I found that it's easier to communicate with people at all. I get that I'm a bit of like an anomaly, but like I find that older men tend to be more mature and tend to have better communication styles, so they make more room for me to talk about.
Yeah. I think that just speaks because of how
It's circumstantial.
You receive it like that because of how sure of yourself you are.
Recently, I've been dating this guy, and he's been teaching me a lot about movies and things that maybe like I wasn't privy to.
Yeah, well, there's always that.
I love that in a relationship.
Yeah.
I don't mind that at all. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
There are things that
great.
like Natalie like coaches me up on, and vice versa. But that's just more like fun.
Yeah.
Like keeps me fresh, and I feel like it keeps her a little bit more informed. I guess I don't know. Like I don't know how you call it, but yeah,
just expanding your cultural horizons.
We're both expanding our horizons. I guess. I don't know, but how would I announce my pregnancy? My pregnancy.
Well, I have a question for you.
Fuck the weird pregnant.
No, he's getting pregnant. How do you feel about couples? Sorry to interrupt. But how do you feel about couples like monetizing their pregnancy results, like the True Blue? Like,
I don't give a shit.
Okay,
make your money.
Yeah, get your bag.
Get your bag.
I guess.
Pay for their.
Yeah,
knowledge.
Julia Fox. If she gets pregnant, oh my god! Like, think about the brand partner. I just think she's the epitome of getting your bag.
I did see something on the internet that there's like some 18-year-old who's suing her parents for some pictures they posted of her earlier in life.
That's when it's going to start
and
happening.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That really made me think 10 years from now, 15 years from now, we already are embracing a culture that's more independent. And like I said, we talk about family values on this show all the time, and we talk about how as adults we have to learn to stand up for our parents, and they're not the gods that we all thought they were when we were 6. That being said, I still have an immense amount of respect for my parents, and I'm blessed to have great parents. But yeah, I think with all how crazy we have been, I mean, like, who knows what 10 and 15 years from now the world's going to look like, because we are responding to social media. We're not necessarily like figuring out how we should treat social media. We're just like, it's a rat race. We're like, just
reactive.
do it. We're reacting.
Totally.
And so we don't really know, like everything's documented, everything. And so, yeah, imagine some 18, 19-year-old kid who's not getting along with mom and dad. And there will be some sort of major court case that will make some sort of this precedent one way or the other about one's parents' ability to post about their kids and their likeness and their image and who owns that and who's responsible for that, and all very fascinating.
Right. But I mean, it's similar with child stars, right? I mean, it's a very similar thing, I think, like making your kids work or at a young age.
Well, I also just think it's interesting for parents to have this Instagram history for their kids to find. Because I feel like before with us,
Literally.
like it was kind of like Wild West. Like our parents maybe knew some things like scare tactics on the internet that they read, but they couldn't really police Instagram use. Like they don't actually they didn't know it well enough to be able to like regulate or like parent us through it. And it's going to be so interesting, like this first Instagram generation where it's like the pictures of like someone from like a college like crush party where you're like, like all like whatever else you have from your debauchery days.
Your
and like
mom's nudes and dad's dick pics are not going to be hard to find.
you looked at me when you said it. I was like,
it was really direct.
Karen and Jack, no.
Yeah.
Which like could create a really more open,
maybe
free environment.
But like, yeah, we are posting so much about ourselves. Ugh.
It's scary.
It's weird.
We have our caller.
All right, it's time for texting office hours. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What's your name?
I'm Jess, and I'm 25.
How can we help, Jess?
Okay, so I met this guy back in April. We went on some dates, kind of determined it was a situationship. Things fizzled in the summer after a couple of things he did, and I haven't spoken to him since, but I ran into him last week, and he asked me out on a date. So I'm kind of trying to figure out where to go from here.
What were the couple of things he did?
Well, we kind of like determined that we were not going to put a label on things, but like kind of exclusively date. And then he kind of just stopped talking to me for a little while, like about a week, kind of like short responses. But then it like was fine. But then probably like 2 weeks after that, like weird, it wasn't like ghosting. It was just like very minimal responses, was my birthday. And it was very low key. Like I put no pressure on this. Me and my friends were just going to go out to a bar, and he was going to come hang out with us and then go to the bar with us. He was like, okay, change your plans. I'll meet you guys there. We're like, great. The line was really long. So I texted him. I was like, are you in line? Like, do you want to come up with us? He said, no, I'm at home. And I said, okay, are you coming? Because like, I don't live in a small town, but it's like easy to get to the bars in the town. And he said, no, I'm not coming. I'm sunburned. And that was his excuse for not coming to hang out with me on my birthday. And like, that was kind of where I drew the line, because we were like, I don't know, at that point we'd been talking for 3 months, and then he just like bailed because he was sunburned.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of when things started going downhill.
And in the words of Allie and AJ, except for the fact it was my birthday, my fucking birthday.
All right.
Yeah.
So what? I'm a little confused by the timeline. So you hung out with this guy for give or take 3 months. And did
Right.
this all happen before he half ghosted, or this was after he tried to come back?
So that's the issue, is that, okay, so we talked for like 2.5 months, and then we like kind of had a conversation about like what we were doing. And we like agreed on it. And then
Which was what?
like for, I guess the best way to say it is like a situationship. We were saying like, we're not going on dates with other people, but we're not putting a label on this. Like,
you call that a situationship?
I don't know. Like, I was fine with where we were putting it, because like I knew like I was going to be really busy over summer, so I didn't want to like jump into something that like I wouldn't have time for and like stress myself out about for it.
Interesting. So you met a guy, and then you hung out for a couple months or some period of time, and then you tried to set some expectations around like what this was, and you thought you agreed to like stop sleeping with other people.
Right.
But and my question to you is, your mindset there, and you just wanted to like maintain that, or did you want to stop sleeping with other people, maybe not put on a label yet, but progress to get to know him to decide whether you wanted to be a relationship or not? Or were you actually just like, we'll just do this forever until further notice? Which one was your mindset more closely aligned with?
It was more like, we'll keep it casual, like how we're doing it now with no labels, but then in the future, like communication between us wasn't great, but we were very explicit. Well, I was explicit in this point, and I was like, if like further feelings develop, we need to have a conversation. Like, we're not just gonna like shut it all off. So we were like on the same page that if it was something that we wanted to progress further or like stop, that we would be open and honest about it.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. And then when did the ghosting happen?
Probably like the week following. It wasn't like, I don't think it was like ghosting. It was just, we would text like a lot, and it went from like a lot of texting to like maybe 1 or 2 texts like a day, just because like we were both working. So like during the day we would like keep in contact, and then I didn't see him for like a week and a half. And then things like picked back up like where they were before. So that's why it was like kind of weird.
Okay. So, and that's when he reached back out, so to speak.
Right. Yeah.
And then your birthday showed up.
And my birthday was like a week after that. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then where are you at now? Like, what are you trying to figure out?
So, like I said, I ran into him about a week ago, and I just thought it was going to be like, hey, how are you? Call it just like running into someone, walk away, not going to talk to him. And he ended up like, so I'm in grad school. So I saw him in a hallway, and then I went and met up with a group project. And about like 5 minutes later, he like came and found me with my group project, and in front of everyone asked me to dinner. And I was like, this is really weird. Like, you kind of like put me in a situation where I couldn't say no, like, because it was like in front of all these people that I like don't know super well. And truthfully, I just didn't want to come off as a bitch and be like, no, like, why would I hang out with you? And so I was like, sure, like text me, we'll figure it out. Cause I just wanted him to like leave at that point, thinking he wouldn't text me. And he did. And he's like, he has like a whole plan of what he wants to do. And so I'm just trying to figure out like, does he like not realize that he like messed up over summer? And like, does he not have any common sense about that? Or does he just like think nothing was wrong, like, and everything can just go back to normal? So I'm trying to figure out if it's even worth it for me to go or even like respond to him.
Hi. So that's my question for you. What do you want out of this situation? Like, we don't know what he thinks. So what do you want? Do you want to continue to see him?
I think I would like to get it to a point where, because we go to a lot of the same places, and like running into each other like is definitely going to happen again. So I definitely want it to be a point where like if I do see him, it doesn't cause like all this like nervousness around things. But like not at the beginning, like the first 2 months I was like kind of hanging out with him. Like it was really fun and I had a really good time. I just feel like I think I could be open to like seeing where he wants it to go at this point. Like, cause it has been like 6 months, but first and foremost, I want to just make sure it's like, okay, going forward if I do run into him again.
Gotcha. Are you remotely interested in going on this date romantically if it went perfectly? And whatever perfectly means to you.
I think yes, but like I also need to know like what he's even like thinking at this point.
Well,
what
to
his
Serena's
purpose
point,
is.
you might not
know.
No. I mean, listen, you have
Right.
every right to call him up and say, hey, can I be honest with you? I said yes to you in that moment because you kind of put me on the spot. And I would also challenge you to it's always good to just try to empathize with their point of view. You know, I'm not saying that makes them right. It's just, I find it very helpful when I don't understand people to say, well, if I had to guess, how might they be seeing this situation? You know, it just helps. You learn about people when you do that. So, because he probably saw it as some grand gesture. You know, it's like, finally not doing this. I'm going to go. She's going to be around her friends. I'm going to be like, will you go to dinner with me? You know,
God. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you don't think so?
And it was dramatic. Like,
yeah. You don't think he thought he was making some sort of like big move?
Sure. Did he bring flowers?
well, no, because it was like a 10-minute turnaround from when I ran into him.
Right.
But
my point of saying this too is like whether it was bare minimum, I'm not saying he deserves a medal for what he perceives as a grand gesture, but knowing that he might perceive it as like, hey, I thought I was making a gesture. You don't want to get on the defensive. It's just more like, hey, can I be honest with you? Like I really like, I thought that was like bold of you to do and like honestly flattering, but at the same time, and then throw him a compliment that way. It was flattering. You asked me out in front of my friends, but I said yes because you can also kind of put me on the spot. I know you didn't mean to, but like, quite honestly, I have a lot of questions I'd want to ask you before I'd ever say yes to a date with you. That's fair.
right.
Or option 2 is to just kind of go on the date. What's one Thursday night? Fuck it. And ask there.
Right.
And just be like, you could sit down and say, hey, well, we're here. Now that we're here, why the fuck am I here? I don't say it like that, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Be playful. You know, you could be like, I'm just a little confused by like, and you can give them shit. Be like, you literally couldn't show up because you had sunburn. You know, there's a world where you would have showed up for a lot of other things. Let's list all the things you would have showed up for with that same sunburn. That wasn't my birthday.
The Met Gala.
The Met Gala, your favorite sporting event, you know, whatever. You know,
Right.
I think that if it was your friend who wrote this and who asked this, you would tell them to move on. That's my gut. True?
Right.
Like, what would you do if
I
your
would
best
think
friend
so.
said all these things?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's like, I don't consider, like, I'm one of those people that hates my birthday. So the fact that I had like friends in town and we were just going to go do something casual was like all I needed. And I have one friend who's very level-headed and I have never seen her so mad as on that night. So I guess you're right. Like maybe it's like,
It's
if
really
the roles
disrespectful.
were reversed.
It's really disrespectful. It doesn't matter if you hate your birthday or love your birthday. Like, it's also about making a commitment and not following through and giving like a really shitty excuse and not being apologetic, which it didn't seem like he was.
I mean, you could say, I don't know a ton about you, but I do know you're inconsiderate with other people's time.
I actually think he would cry.
But like,
Do you think he would cry?
why?
At one time he told me that half the time his brain has like, he like is really like smart and everything's going through it. And then the other half the time it's that monkey with the clapping like things and that's it.
Is
I
this
was
someone
like,
that you
symbols?
are attracted to? Like, want to date? Someone who says something like that?
Yeah. So like,
Is this
I
your
don't know,
man? Someone who has a monkey clapping in his head for half the time he has a thought? No. You know you deserve way
Yeah.
better than that.
Right. And maybe I was just like putting it off because I was like, oh, like we're both in grad school. Like he has to be smart. Like, but
What? I mean,
I have a little more sympathy. I don't know this guy. I'm just saying
Nick
he
is like,
might
I
suck.
too have a monkey.
the sunburn and then the monkey, I don't know.
I guess what I'm saying is I agree with everything Serena's saying, and I don't, there's a good chance he's not your guy. I think there's an opportunity for you here to, if nothing else, practice communicating.
Yes. And I think you should.
And that either, again, whether it's on a date with him or just reach out to him, because like you did say yes to a date. So I don't think you should ghost the guy. So if you're not going to go out with him, I think you owe him an explanation. And so don't make the same, mistake that he made to you. And you could just be like, I'll be honest, I said yes because, thanks for doing this. It was a nice gesture, but like I just didn't know what to say at the time. But like I don't like when you flaked on me on my birthday, like, yeah, I guess you were sunburned, but like you didn't reach out to me. You didn't let me know. I had to ask. I was in line.
Unacceptable.
Like, so like, I'm not trying to come at you here, but like, it was just really inconsiderate of my time. And I don't want to invest people or in my limited time, invest my time into people who are going to be, who have already shown me a willingness to be inconsiderate of mine. So like, like, why do you want to go on this date with me? Like, are you bored? Like, what's up? And just ask him.
About like a month after all that, like he found me on Hinge and he he sent me a message
after you guys had met and you're in this situation.
After you go you didn't come to the birthday party.
Right. Yeah. So this is like a month after my birthday. After I was like, this is not like, I don't know if I was explicit saying like this isn't gonna happen, but I was like, I can't do this right now, like kind of thing. And he found me on Hinge and just was like, hey, I was like, I don't want to talk to you on this app. And he's like, oh no, I get that. Like, and then never reached out. And I was mad. So I reached out to him and I was like, can you explain like what you're trying to do here? Like, what is this? And he didn't even know that it was weird that he did that. And so I have to figure out like the best way to explain it to him with like being like explicit, but not
how
rude.
old is he?
He's 26.
It's giving. I feel like guys do that because they want to see if they still have like a shot. They want to see if the door is still open. That's what, right?
He did it because he was bored. It was like, why not? He thought enough time had passed and he felt bad. And listen, when nowadays, especially when people feel bad, what do? They do nothing. They don't address it. They don't own up to it. They don't say they're sorry. They just like avoid it and then hope that enough time has passed so that if I run into them, no one like brings it up. And like, we just forgot about the time I like used like not wearing sunscreen as like an excuse not to go to your party or even let you know. The more we talk about it, the more I'm inclined for you to address this before you go on the date.
Well, I also think maybe we should do a dramatic reading of the texts, like most recent, before he hit you up after running into you and like asked you out, because I think you do kind of start to communicate. I
understand. I'm sorry we've talked about this too. Nothing is happening. I wasn't thinking when I said hello. I was just excited to see your familiar face.
I appreciate that. And for the record, I did have fun last time we hung out. But I feel you've been using me at your convenience, and that doesn't feel great. By the way, I think that was a great text.
It's great text.
Great text.
Great text.
Yeah. Let's go, sis.
I feel like you've been listening to my podcast.
True.
It's great. I'm proud. I was unfortunately living a weird schedule / lifestyle for a bit earlier this summer where I wasn't doing anything. The concert was one of the few times I got out, and I'm happy you joined me. Please don't think I was using you for your convenience.
He's also texting this at 5:20 a.m.
What is he doing at 5:20 a.m.?
He's like, I had a weird lifestyle.
When did you send this text?
When did I send it? I think I sent it probably like after work hours, like not
So the next morning? Or is he out? It's 5:20 a.m.
I think it's the next morning. I think he starts work really early.
Okay.
Can we just pause for a second though and talk about the Hinge? So when he reached out to you on Hinge, he did hey and then the shit emoji.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have opened the Hinge. I would have declined. That's a swipe left.
And you asked why? ? And then why again?
It's like imagine just on your phone double sending, but I think it's so funny.
No, I think it's so funny. Why?
That's great. It's a great response. Why?
But like, why the poop?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think he just thought it was funny.
Is that an inside joke of your guys?
No.
Oh.
I don't know. Like,
hey, poop. What would you do if you walked in on, I was like, hey, poop?
like, no.
And this exchange happened before he saw you, and then like asked you on a date before in front of all your friends?
Yeah. So that exchange, the one you just read, was in July, and I hadn't talked to him literally since then.
And when did he ask you on a date?
A week ago. So the last week of November.
And then he followed up recently?
I respond. That was the last text I sent, or he sent, I think I have, to you guys. But I pretty much was like, I'm busy, like right now, I'm going on a trip for the holidays, like, and I left it at that. And he asked me if it was uncomfortable seeing him because he thought it was very nice to be able to catch up. And he wants to show me his work project and take me to drinks, and then we can get dinner downtown. Like, he like sent me like a whole itinerary, and I just like didn't really want to deal with it. And I said like something like, sounds good, we'll talk after the holidays. Like,
it feels like you don't really want to see this guy again.
I feel like he's going to say something. He's just going to try to like say what I want to hear.
Right.
But like, I also feel like I have things I want to say to him, but I just don't know if it's like, do I even really need to tell him?
Like, Serena's totally right. The only reason I'm like, even like giving this a shot, because like no crime was committed, so to speak. So on the off chance he just needs some mild guidance, and coach him up, so to speak. It's like, but I don't want you to have a project, right?
This isn't your cross to bear. Sorry. Yeah. Time is valuable.
Well, I don't think you should, like, if you genuinely are interested in dating him and you genuinely had a good time and you thought there was a lot of qualities that you really liked about him, because no one's perfect, and, 25, 26-year-olds, unfortunately, these days need to be coached up. Sure. And so if you think there's a lot of things you liked about him, then I'm fine with you exploring it as long as you can communicate your frustrations. If you are just frustrated that he ditched you and want to have some FaceTime so you can really let him know how you feel and just get it out, it might not be worth your time. I think the happy medium is to have a conversation with him on the phone and just say, kind of like a follow-up to this brief text message that you said, hey, I just felt like you used, because it like used you almost like accused him of too much there. Because like used, that sounds so Machiavellian. Right. Like he had this like, I'm going to use this person. Nah, he was like bored and convenient. He did have fun with you. That's not a lie, because that's his response. Like, well, I mean, I had fun with you. How could I have used you? Mm-hmm. The crime is he was inconsiderate and really only prioritized you when it was convenient for him.
Mm-hmm. But I think she does follow up the used by at your convenience.
Yeah, but I guarantee you he only responded to the accusation of being used. Yeah. Right. So he didn't even hear that. And so it's important to really focus on what it is that you are frustrated by and not throw out something that he is a greater accusation that he feels more defensive about and then focuses on that. And then you're like, wait, I mean, he apologized for like not using me, but you know what I'm saying? So I really think this is more of an exercise for you to like practice communication than anything. And if his answers make total sense, because you've already said to me he's not really good at answering these types of questions, and he doesn't like, so I don't think he's going to say something that you really want to hear unless he actually means it for the most part, as long as you ask the right questions.
Right. So you're saying like I should be like as straightforward as possible, like with what
I would call him up and say, hey, listen, you really caught me off guard when you asked me out. And if I'm being honest, like I said yes because you're around my friends. I've already told you I've really had a good time when we hung out, but it really upset me when you flaked on me on my birthday. And I had to reach out and I had to ask if you were coming. And like, whatever, if you had sunburn, but like people like find a way to prioritize the people they want to prioritize. And you didn't, and that's fine. So I'm just confused as to why you want to like redo this all over again, because I'm genuinely just looking for someone who communicates, who shows up when they say they're going to show up, and wants to like prioritize someone in their life. And I'm getting the vibe from you that you don't, and you're not ready. And as much as like it sounds like things are going great, and I'm glad they are, I'm not interested in catching up.
Yeah, I think that's good, because I think if I put it in a way that it's like you're just wasting my time isn't right. But I think the priority thing, like that would kind of be like a wake up call to him to be like, oh, like this is actually like,
I think for
like
him,
I messed up.
I think for you to say yes to a date, he needs to show you that he can be vulnerable on that phone call. He needs to be able to say, no, actually, like, I fucked up. I'm sorry. I really like you, and I want a second chance I don't deserve to show you that, because I really think we have something there. And if it's not that, then I don't think you should go on the date.
Okay.
If it's like, what's the big deal? Like, it's just cool. Or if he tries to downplay things, he needs to just hear you out, accept it, apologize, and then ask for an opportunity to show you that he should get a second chance.
Okay.
And if he tries to keep it cash or downplay it, you're just like, listen, I think you're great, but maybe we shouldn't go out.
I agree. Going on a date is a motherfucking privilege with you. Seriously, like, you are the prize. So he needs to act like it. I definitely think you should talk to him before you go on the date. Your time is very valuable.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
You should bring him some sunscreen.
His answer should make
That would be really funny.
good.
his answer should make sense, and he should make you feel like he really wants a second chance. And there should be an I'm sorry for that somewhere without a but. Not
Right.
I'm sorry, but you did that. What's the big deal? I didn't do that. Just like, yeah, I could have been more considerate, and I want to show you that I'm very serious about this.
Yeah. I think definitely a phone call before would also like calm my nerves if I did end up going. Like, having a real conversation and not just like, what is this?
I also
over text.
genuinely want you to think about whether, the conversation, the date happens or not. Like, what do you really like? Do you actually like this guy? I'm not saying that you have to know right now, but a lot of the language that you used to describe him, the things he did and how he's scatterbrained, text weird, monkey, I don't know if you even like him that much, honestly. So I think that you should ask yourself, like, is it more about feeling rejected, or is it about you genuinely wanting to get to know him more?
Right.
Just something to keep in mind.
To help you with that, like, figure out what you do like what do you like about him?
Literally write it down. I always have a list.
Someone asked me that, like, when I was dating him. It was like, or I guess not dating, hanging out with him. It was like, what were 3 things you like about him? And I could answer it. And so, like, I felt like that was a good sign. And then,
totally.
So, but now I have to see if those are still like high enough to
And if the list keeps growing, hopefully.
pursue it.
Listen, you just don't know how serious or capable he is in giving you the things that you want and need in a relationship. Because up to this point, he has shown you that he's more in kind of in a fuckboy era. I'm more focused on school. That's the priority. I'm going to date when it's convenient. I'm going to show up when it's convenient. And everyone else who's kind of in my peripheral is going to like suffer for that. That's the energy he's giving off.
Yeah.
And then he wants someone to like hear, like when he wants to brag about us, the compliments, like he wants to catch up with people.
It's like,
right.
Yeah. So, all right. We'll keep us posted. We're dying to find out what
Yes, I will.
good
how
luck.
this goes. Good luck.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Serena, you have some big news for yourself personally.
Yes.
You are part of the NBC Universal family now.
Yes, I am.
What does that mean?
Basically, they picked 11 creators to be a part of their Creator Accelerator program. So we are essentially, it's 11 amazing creators. They're super diverse in terms of their voices and the kind of content they create. And they're giving us an opportunity to develop a show with execs at NBC. And
Your own show or together?
Our own show separately. Yeah.
Fun.
To develop a show with NBC, take us through the greenlight process. And if all goes well, we'll have it on Peacock streaming.
Amazing.
Yes.
So exciting.
Where are you in this process?
I haven't even pitched the concept yet. I'm working on the deck right now.
Nice.
So we'll see.
Scripted, unscripted?
It is unscripted. It's a mix. It's a hybrid.
Okay.
Half hour.
Even shorter. Yeah. Quick.
Okay,
yes.
cool.
It's going to be like under half an hour. I feel like that's good. Isn't White Lotus is White Lotus an hour, 45 minutes?
It's like in the 45, 50.
With
Yeah.
this TikTok generation, we got to keep it tight.
Right,
But it's really exciting. I think it's cool to see how people are taking the content that we make really seriously and giving us an opportunity to kind of level up beyond just our phones.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to find you on Peacock.
Yeah, and you also have to come to my comedy show.
Great.
I'm going on
When is
tour. It's called Do It for the Plot, and it's going to be in March. And I think I'm also going to be coming to LA as well.
Great. We'll be there. And also, where can people follow you, find you, buy your game?
Serena Kerrigan and letsfuckinggdate.com. And you better play
Who I'm
all
not
three and let
following.
me know.
I'm not following.
No, he's following.
Not following Serena Kerrigan.
But this was really great. I'm a huge fan of yours. I have been for a while. And
Likewise. Thank you for coming. It's been a long time coming. We are so happy to have you. It's been fun. Thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to send in those questions at asknick@castme.com, cast with a K. If you are tuning in for the first time to hear your gal, Serena, we do some great things throughout the week. Ask Nick Mondays, which is very similar to what you just saw in Texting Office Hours. People's like relationship stories. We give advice, opinions, and thoughts. And then on Tuesday right now, our freestyle episodes, which is a lot more pop culture and things like that. Yesterday, we had Girl Boss Town on our show, also known as Robin. Girl Boss Town.
PR genius.
PR genius. So check that out. And we're here 3 days a week. So send in those questions. We're still looking for two people stuck in a situationship who want to come on together.
Whoa.
And hash it out.
Hard to find. It's hard
Tough.
to find. Still the mediations, we'll do those. You can be all anonymous, so the juicier the better. Send in those stories. We'd love to hear it from you. And any final thoughts, Serena?
If it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no.
Okay.
Live by that. That's what I want to tell that girl.
You're great.
Thank you so much. Seriously.
Bye, everybody.
Those are fantastic.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching, but before you go, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any future videos like our Mondays Ask Nick for your favorite relationship stories and advice, and our Tuesday Bachelor recaps. See you next time.